what made you really choose management consulting as a career versus software developer? I'm planning to start my career either as a business analyst at McKinsey or BCG or at an equivalent level in software development role. What kind of starting salaries do people get?
In news, we hear that a lot of US-based offers get 1 crore, 2 crore packages as well. But the base salary, if you do it on a PPP level, it's 60, 70 lakhs up to the highest levels, right?
I typically say that the smartest business analysts and consultants are the quickest to leave. Let's discuss about the culture at McKinsey. Have you ever thought, how will your life look like when you crack McKinsey and Company at an age of 21? What kind of Pre MBA salary can you earn when you actually exit from McKinsey and Company? Can it be worth 1 crore? And how do you go about cracking Harvard Business School MBA offer? Hi, if you're new to my channel, then on my channel I talk about all things MBA, all things careers, and all things management consulting. So feel free to hit on the subscribe and the notification button so that you get notified whenever I'm bringing free educational content for all of you. And in this Shatakshi show, I'm going to be talking to Subham. Subham is a global governance initiative, which is my organization, a mentor. He has worked at McKinsey and Company, he has worked at Westbridge Capital, and of course, he's going to join Harvard Business School this fall as well. I am going to be talking a lot of interesting things that a lot of you actually go through with respect to conundrums such as picking between software development and management consulting. How do you actually make a career or start your MBA at HBS, so on and so forth. We are going to be dividing this podcast into two parts, part 1 and part 2. And whenever the part 2 will be out, or if you're watching part 2, the part 1 link will be in the comment section. I really hope that you get to learn, enjoy, and get to educate yourself through this Shatakshi Sharma podcast.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
So welcome Subham on the Shatakshi show. Very excited to have you here, and we have had a very meaningful relationship. You have been a GGI mentor right now. You have worked at McKinsey, you have Harvard Business School MBA offer, and of course, you have been working in private equity or venture capital. So I have a lot of interesting questions for you on this Shatakshi show. But before that, why don't you introduce yourself to the world in your own words?
No, I'm firstly, thank you so much, Atakshi, for having me here, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So my name is Subham Rajgaria. I've been born and brought up in Kolkata. Grew up there, did my schooling there. Then I went to IIT Kharagpur. Did my computer science and engineering background there for 4 years. Post that, worked at McKinsey for about a year, from August 2019 to about July 2020. And then I've been working at Westbridge Capital currently for the last 2.5 years odd, and looking at various sectors and different businesses. Now have had applied for MBA and got an opportunity to join Harvard Business School 2023 to 2025. So looking forward to that journey. But no, I think that's about me. Happy to deep dive.
Sure, that's definitely a prodigy journey, and I really look forward to understanding a lot of things about HBS offer. Cambridge continues to be one of my favorite cities in the world. So, Subham, how old are you right now? Somewhere around 24 or 25?
25 years old, yes.
Oh my, HBS MBA offer at an age of 25. That's pretty genius. I have a lot of questions, of course, about HBS MBA as well, but I would want to start from the start. So, Subham, I know your journey because we have had chats as you being a GGI mentor as well. If I'm not wrong, initial sections of your IIT journey actually had exposure towards software development as well. I believe that you had an engagement and exposure to being a programmer, software developer, and some bit of analysis as well. What made you really choose management consulting as a career versus software development? The reason why I asked this question is because a lot of undergraduate students, especially in IITs and many other equivalent institutes, go through this conundrum. So what you really went through and what made you choose McKinsey over software development?
Yeah, no, this is a very uncommon career choice for most software developers, even in my campus or other campuses. And for me, what really stood out was that I actually experienced all my internships during college in technical or software development. I also did a lot of research papers. I published 2 research papers based on AI and ML. But what I realized is that one, that research was not something which I wanted to pursue because I thought the results would come after a very long time, and probably I was someone who wanted more impact to be seen at a faster pace. Now, on the more software development kind of roles, while of course it's a very lucrative, offer and job, because I think a software developer in today's day and world, of course, gets a very good pay as well as has very good work-life balance. But what I felt during my internships is that there's very limited growth or learning opportunity after a certain period of time, or after 2 years, after 3 years. And I saw a lot of self-developer friends or seniors of mine, or people who I worked with during my internships, stagnate after a certain time in terms of learning. And that is something which I did not feel good about. And I felt that, management consulting is one place where I can actually get into different industries, different roles, work with a lot of different smart people, and actually have a very continuous learning journey, as well as, of course, have a great career development. So and hence, I applied for McKinsey, BCG, and other such top tier consulting firms, and I was lucky to get into McKinsey. Of course, if I hadn't got into, I knew that software development was always an option, but I just wanted to see if I get that opportunity, and I was lucky to have it.
Correct. That's a very fantastic answer, largely because you over-indexed on your learning, and I'm assuming that you must have talked to few alums because back then you had not walked that journey yourself. Could you also give an understanding at a wealth level? So, for example, I am from IIT or an equivalent, and I'm planning to start my career either as a business analyst at McKinsey or BCG, or at an equivalent level in software development role. What kind of starting salaries do people get? That's question number one as a follow-up. And my second question as a follow-up to that is, when you say that the learning stagnated, my understanding is in BCG, at the end of the day, you're a problem solver, right? The sectors could change. The sectors actually don't even really matter at the end of the day. Are you telling me, as a software developer, that you continue to solve similar types of problem and the diversity of problems also stagnate? So could you clarify on that bit as well?
No, that's a fantastic question, Sadakshi. And I'll answer the first question first. That, and on average, at least in IITs, a software developer role would start from some other base salary of roughly 20 lakhs per annum, and it can go up to even 60, 70 lakhs. And of course, in news we hear that a lot of US based offers get 1 crore, 2 crore packages as well. But the base salary, if you do it on a PPP level, it's 60, 70 lakhs up to the highest levels, right? So on average, it would be about 35, 40 lakhs on average, which is a very good offer for a fresh undergraduate, right? Coming to the second part of the question, the problem solving part of things, while yes, you're problem solving in a structured manner in BCG, McKinsey, and other management consulting firms, but of course, context keeps on changing. And I don't think that we are just problem solving, we're also implementing. There's a lot of people element also involved. There's a lot of culture, there's a lot of organizations, a lot of ways to actually communicate, right? Like, where I felt that, as a software developer, you are getting instructions, but you're not being part of the business. You're getting some set of instructions to actually follow it, and then you of course code it, and you need very high technical skills to actually get through very quality solutions, which is great. And you are doing problem solving on a day-to-day basis. But after a certain point in time, after maybe 2 years, 2.5 years, the new problems, even if they come, you already kind of know the solution. You don't have to really adapt to it. You quickly implement it. And also what I, at least in my conversations, I saw that after a certain time, you are also responsible for maintaining the code base which you have been developing, right? So 50%, 60% of the time just goes in that. So the new things which comes up is not that relevant, right? But in a management consulting role, you are actually doing new things on a regular basis, even as a partner, when like I work with several partners, and partners who do 5 projects at a time, right? There are 5 different contexts, 5 different organizations whom we have to bring $1 million impacts in a short amount of time. So I just felt that the scale and the impact at which you can have contributions can be massive in this kind of a role, and probably that excited me.
Correct. That's very interesting. We missed one part of the equation, which is that how much does a BA from IIT Kharagpur really draw? If you don't mind sharing, what was your annual CTC? So if it is 20 lakhs for a software developer, what is the apples to apples comparison?
So McKinsey unfortunately pays less, but of course BCG pays slightly higher. But McKinsey pays about 14 LPA for a business analyst role versus BCG pays about 18. In 2019, I'm saying when I graduated. But having said that, McKinsey also gives a lot of perks. For example, you have food allowance, you have travel allowance, etc. Right? So since I was tagged to the Kolkata office, I hardly had to pay rent. So basically, everything was in my pocket. As a software developer, you'll have to probably relocate unless and until you're in that same home location. So rental expenses, food expenses, etc. also go. So roughly, I did not see a major difference. Of course, perhaps most of my computer science friends or batchmates were probably earning maybe 20-30% extra on average. Some, of course, much higher, but it was not a significant delta. And I just felt that this is just a stepping stone for further advancements in career, and I was fine with it.
Correct. And that is exactly what I wanted to understand. You basically let go of that 30% extra wealth because you were over indexing on your learning, which is pretty admirable because people at young age typically over index on wealth over learning. Which makes me move towards your 1 year stint at McKinsey. And I'm focusing on 1 year. The reason is I typically say that the smartest business analysts and consultants are the quickest to leave because they realize that they can actually learn a lot in the outside world by leveraging the skills. I particularly want to understand the McKinsey culture, Subham, from you. It's a cult in itself. It is a very celebrated alumni community. It's a legacy in itself, right? So could you walk me through certain good things about the culture at McKinsey, if there were any downsides that you felt as well? Let's discuss about the culture at McKinsey.
Sure. No, I think I feel very fortunate to have been part of the McKinsey and call myself a McKinsey alum, because the culture, the people are absolutely amazing. And of course they are all smart people in every management consulting firm, whether it be McKinsey, BCG, Bain, AT Kearney, right? But what I felt as a different in McKinsey, based on my conversations with my peers in other consulting firms, is that McKinsey actually focuses a lot on you. They are very, very focused on your career advancement. So, like whether it be that constant feedback sessions every 2 weeks, every month, right? That was really important as for me, for my personal development, right? So, just sharing an interesting anecdote at that time, that one partner actually gave this comment to me that that I'm a very exciting and enthusiastic person, and maybe I have to calm my energy down during presentations. And that was something which was very exciting to know, that of course I had, being young blood, I had a lot of and first job, so it was always exciting to present to like CEOs of top level organizations. But to actually channel my energy and also bring in that maturity in the conversation or presentation is something which actually came out through those feedback sessions, right? So I don't think people actually in other firms, not talking about talking about on the developer side, actually give those kind of feedback, that how do you present yourselves, what level of details. And it was something which was on a constant basis, right? It was not something one off. And apart from that, of course, my McKinsey business analyst cohort, that was something which was super well knit, like that 2 weeks of training which happens. That is something where you develop a lifetime friendship and bond. And we still have maintained that WhatsApp group, and there's constant conversations there. So all of that is really helpful, and all of them are very smart people now in very different backgrounds. And as you said, that people usually leave consulting firms to pursue other journeys. And of course, there are people who are in PVC, there are people who are doing product management, some are in chief of staff roles, and some are continuing at McKinsey. So I think that network is super helpful, of course, in the long term. And even from a culture perspective, I think I've had one of my best days. I would rather say even better than college days during my McKinsey days, because it was always fun on a Friday evening to hang out with colleagues or with McKinsey BA cohorts, or plan some short weekend trips if you are in a different client site location, and actually go around and visit the city. And it was always very fun doing that.
That's very interesting. I have heard stories about McKinsey BA cohorts, so I'm so glad that you brought all of them to life. Saying that McKinsey BA journey was much more exciting for you than your IIT KGP is saying a lot of things. And I many a time say that, especially for BAs, if you have spent a year at MBB, you do not need an MBA, and we are going to be talking about the value of an MBA as well. Uh, I also want to understand one more thing from you, Subham. I have had friends who went through the McKinsey BA journey after St. Stephen's College, and few of them found, and you're talking about the feedback culture in a very constructive fashion. There's a lot of positivity around it. I have heard narratives from friends who couldn't really take it. They felt that it was really toxic after a point of time, that continuous pressure of feedback. Were
Mhm.
there days, if in your candid experience, when you were really young, you were vulnerable, you were 21, where you felt that this is not something that I can handle in the long term?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting conversation which, some of my friends also have experienced, right? And I think it comes down to the person, and it sometimes also comes down to the situation, the project, etc. Sometimes, as you would also know that we work on very tight deadlines, and things can get intense. So in those situations, of course, it becomes tough, and there are situations where people get very unlucky, where basically someone is staffed on due diligences back to back, like there are 2 3 due diligences, and in a MBB or in a consulting due diligence environment, it's very intense. For 2 3 weeks you are working 14 hours, 15 hours a day, and then if you get harsh feedback, you kind of take it on yourselves that, okay, what can I do better, right? So that becomes tough. On having said that, that I cannot do, like, for me personally, I never felt that I cannot do this anymore. For me, what was the trigger point to probably look out for different opportunities was more that around one, that I think it was COVID, when and I was stuck at home, so all the benefits of being in a consulting firm was probably not there. The travel, the meet up with different people, and face to face conversations, all the outings, etc. So perhaps that was one part which was definitely playing on my mind. The second part was also that I also felt that some, like, in my 2 projects there was a lot of implementation, a lot of strategizing, and somehow I was more of an analytical person, and of course there are due diligences which cover that aspect, but I was not getting that opportunity, and I was not sure if I will get it in the near future. And when that venture capital hiring was there, and it of course has a much more analytical bent of work, plus a more numbers oriented, so hence I was more curious to explore that and get and try that opportunity. So those are few reasons where I thought that maybe this is the right time to move. But otherwise, I never really felt that I cannot do this, and I cannot handle the pressure. At least the people whom I work with, I felt very comfortable working with, and there was, of course, feedback both ways. And I think that is something which actually consulting firms have been able to actually establish across organizations, is upward feedback. Because I don't think that in a lot of organizations that is there, but in consulting firms it is actually appreciated and actually given. And I've had several of my seniors actually come and say that your feedback has helped me. So I feel very happy about that culture as well.
Correct. I really like how you've articulated the answer, because it is at the heart of it, it is talking about how do you really handle feedback. And of course, it's a two-way street. Do you have the maturity to give polite feedback? And do you have the equal maturity to take feedback? In fact, we often used to talk about this culture of feedback at BCJ, that imagine that whatever content is coming your way, it's not for Shatakshi, it's for someone else, right? And then how would
Yeah.
you objectively go about implementing it? So I really like your answer around the context and the stress level as well, which makes us smoothly pivot towards the conversation around Westbridge. All right. I really hope that you got to educate yourself and enjoy yourself during this podcast, which is one part of the 2-part series with Subham. So feel free to share it with your friends, and of course like this video to actually motivate people like me. Whenever I am on breaks from beautiful locations, I shoot these really cool videos for all of you. And this is just one of the many more interesting podcasts that I'm going to have on this channel. If you want to request for certain kind of professions on my channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And of course, I've always maintained maintained if you want to build a career in management consulting, product management, and public policy. And if you need more help, feel free to check out Global Governance Initiative Impact Fellowship at globalgovernanceinitiative.org. I'll see you very much soon. Ciao.